Hi there, and welcome back. So on today's episode, we've all got the itch at the moment. We've had no sports for a few weeks now, and we've all got the itch, and we're all ready to talk about the bookies again. We're especially up for talking about right now the NFL draft, which is kind of the big thing on the horizon at the moment for us NFL fans. But it also is an opportunity for people who aren't that into the NFL to have a little gamble, put a little fiver on this, a little fiver on that. Obviously, but responsibly. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm ready to get started. I'm on here with Fen, who's one of my close friends, we've been close friends for about 8-9 years now, who's been into American football for as long as I have, and Ollie too. I believe I met Fen and Ollie actually on the same day. But I just love speaking with these guys, and that's just why we decided to create this video today. And we also love comparing our bets, so why not bring it all together? Ollie's our guru on this stuff, so we're going to assign Ollie to have a go through some of his favorite selections from this upcoming draft on Thursday night. Take it away.
Yeah. Well, so all this is coming to you from Betfair, not sponsored, although it could be Betfair if you want to, we'll probably get some money back anyway. But
that's very bold early on. I like that.
Yeah. And ultimately, if they were to sponsor, I'd probably give them all back. I give all the money back anyway, betting on
exactly
the Belarusian Premier League or whatever there is to bet on at the moment. So how it's going to work? We've picked out like 5 markets that we think kind of interesting ones to where we can discuss, and then we've got a couple of wild cards as well, kind of interesting ones. So we're going to get started. The first one, kind of like the big question, we'll compare the odds as well of like what we've got, what we're betting on, and then after the draft we could come back to this to see who's won most imaginary money. We could put it on now. Most imaginary money. So
most Australian dollary dues.
Yeah. So the first one for our dollary dues is the big question: Tua or Herbert. I did some research on this. Right, Tua. How do you pronounce the second name? I just kind of I've been a fraud up to this point and just never called him.
Just add a couple of vowels, but they don't need. Yeah, Tungavailoa, I think it is.
Tungavailoa. It means gold, according to names.org.
Oh, well then, perfect.
Herbert means illustrious warrior in Old German. The odds. So the question is, who's going to get picked first? So Tua is 4-7 on, which is minus 175 in American, and Herbert is 5-4 to go first. How do we choose who picks first?
I just think if you're passionate about it, just go for it. And I can say for a fact that I'm passionate about how bad these odds are.
Let's go for it.
Particularly for Justin Herbert going first. If you're going to bet money on Justin Herbert going first, you want better odds than 5-4, without a shadow of a doubt. The Tua odds are what I would expect. I don't know about you. What about you two? But the Tua odds are fine. The Herbert odds are appalling. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Yeah, I have to agree with the odds. For me here, I think that if you're going to go with groupthink, obviously a lot of people are going to think that Tua is the obvious choice to be the first taken, and I'd have to agree with that. So I would think that the odds for Herbert would have to be higher. But then again, Tua's odds aren't great enough that I'm that sure that I'd want to put money on it. So I'm scared of this bet. But for me, I would say in terms of who I think will go first, I think it's definitely going to be Tua, because realistically, Tua is the one that people are going to be trading up for. People are going to be making deals to come up and get Tua because he's that generational talent that could sit for a time because of his injury. But in terms of talent, there's a clear discrepancy. Most people think with Herbert. Nobody's going to trade up for Herbert unless people start trading up for Tua and people start to panic. So for me, it's going to be Tua. That would be the person I'd take. But I mean, the odds, like you said, aren't great. What about you, Ollie?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think unless some video comes out of Tua with the world's biggest gas mask bong on draft night, I just don't see how. And even nowadays, it's kind of sensible sort of. Yeah, and that's a sensible corona precaution these days. So you've got to not be too careful. I'm breathing entirely through gas. No, I think all the stuff around Herbert is just like rubbish. Even the Giants were talking about going for him. I think it's smokescreen season. So
yeah, well,
for me,
nobody thought Daniel Jones was happening until Pick 6 came on last year. So you can't predict it.
And obviously, Christian Ponder and Jake Locker. Yeah, Blake Bortles at 4. Christian Ponder went 8, didn't he? And then Jake Locker went 10. It's just insane. People do crazy things for quarterbacks, but you'd nail on. I think what Fen said about people trading up, I think you just nail on. if people are trading up for Tua, that's when people trade up for Herbert. It doesn't go the other way around.
No.
So yeah.
The only way I see
agreement.
Herbert,
Yes.
I think we all agree, but I think the only way that Herbert goes first is if the Dolphins go, we're going to take the best player available. If someone like, I don't know, like Akuda ends up getting to them at 5 and they go, oh, we can't pass up on that opportunity, and the Chargers genuinely do like Herbert more than Tua, which I don't think they do, but you see reports of it, but I just don't think that's going to be the case.
The deepest position in this draft is wide receiver, undoubtedly. I think is the kind of consensus. And there's an interesting market on Betfair, which is how many in the first round. So Betfair's put the line at 6.5. So 7 or more receivers in the first round will get you 9-5 odds, which is plus 180 in American. And under, so 6 and under, gets you 4-11 on, so minus 275 in American. Conor, do you want to? How do you feel on this one?
It's got a wish.
I know you love the receivers.
I almost don't want to take a stance on this one, but obviously I have to because you've got to put the money line somewhere. But I almost don't want to. It's too difficult to predict. It all depends on how stupid GMs are and how panicky they get. In terms of the quality of players, the quality of receivers is incredible, but that devalues the position in the first round at least. So obviously there are 4 that are nailed on to go in the first round, and then after that it's absolute. It's completely insane. It's completely insane. Who's going to go where? Who's going to go? Like some people see Jalen Reagor as a first round pick. I don't think I see him as a first round pick. Depends on if you've been watching certain players, if you idolize a certain type of position, a certain type of receiver. I think I'm inclined to go with. I think I'm inclined to go with the over here because I think it's got better value. But I don't necessarily believe that's going to happen. But here I think I would go for the over because I think the value of 9/5 is quite good. It's quite good, but definitely consider putting this in an ACA as we've discussed previously. Getting a couple of these in together because the value isn't there at 9 and 5, but you package that with something else that value can definitely something that's more guaranteed to happen, like no kickers in the first round. I'm obviously kidding, but you package that together with something else, and you might have a good bet on your hands.
Ollie, I'm going to let you go second on this one because I'm not going to lie, I think I might still be deciding, so I want to hear what you have to say.
For me, this one is under all the way, taking it all the way to the bank. I think for me, this is the one bet where I actually consider, like, 7 receivers would be absolutely mental. I know it's deep, but that's like almost 1 in 4 players in the first round being a wide receiver at that point, and that's mad. Like, you think not just the key, you think there's 3 quarterbacks that are going to go in the first round, so that you've already lost 3 picks, a few linemen, teams that want to take some defense. I think at that point, you're basically down to half the picks and you need 7 receivers from. I think that's way too many for me. There's no tight ends. Running backs are questionable in this draft in the first round, but I think it's just too many. I think it's too many, and the value's not great in the odds, but I think it's just no way. For me, I think it's a cert, dead on, a lock it up under.
Okay.
For me.
Okay, so it seems like I've got the decider. For me, I think the line is perfect. For me, I think that 6 or 7 is the possible outcomes, really. For me, I've said for a while, I think receiver is the position group that I think is there's most likely to be a run on where people will start to panic. Depending on how early those top guys come off the board and if people start trading up to get some of those top guys, there could be a real run late on in the first round. We've seen it happen before, with first round wide receivers. You see a Josh Doxson's coming off the board at the late 20 picks when realistically no one expected them to come off. So for me, I think that there are probably 8 possible first round talents in terms of wide receiver, and I know that all the boards are messed up, but I think that the number will be 6, so I'd be more inclined to go with the under, but I'm not going to say it's a lock the same degree as Ollie. And because of the odds, they're not very valuable, so I would probably be more inclined to put a little bit on the over than to take the under, even though I do think it will hit the under. I do think
that if it's not too different to what I said, but I just think that if Denzel Mims hadn't had such an incredible offseason, this wouldn't even be a conversation.
Yeah.
But he's the name that's come into the mix. So maybe these teams in the higher picks were crushing on a certain player anyway, and 6 guys were going to go. And now Denzel Mims has thrown his name right into the mix. And now we're looking, this could be 7. This could be 7. So,
yeah, you've got the four, realistically, I think we're all in agreement that it's the four locks. You've got the top two, you've got Jeudy and Lamb, and then you've got Ruggs. Then Jefferson will probably go a little bit after. After that, it's a complete crapshoot as to who's going to go. So, I mean, you could see four people go. You could see no other receivers go. It's a bit mad, but yeah, I think it's definitely split us up compared to the first pick. Ollie, I have to ask.
If you're a GM.
No, that's right. I wanted to ask, if you think this is a lock, how much money are you willing to put on the under, considering that value of those odds?
Let me think. So I could do 50 quid on the under. I think so. That'll get back about. Yeah, that's about. Well, it's not quite half, is it? So that's like sort of 20, 25. Or, yeah, sort of 22 back.
24, something like that. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't know if I'm that sure. I'm definitely not that sure. But, it'll be interesting to see how it goes. I think that the receiver is the biggest range of outcomes in terms of how many get drafted in the first round.
Well, for the purposes tonight, it's just $1 he do. But I might see how I'm feeling on draft night after a couple of
for sure.
couple of Coronas. We'll see how brave I'm feeling. Should we get around our wildcard picks then? Our first lot of wildcard picks. So here we've gone and looked through the betting markets each, and we've kind of each picked out our own one, maybe some of the more unusual ones. If you go on there's a huge amount. Again, not an ad, but it's a huge number of weird markets. I can go first on this one. Yeah,
okay, go ahead.
So for me, I think it's time for a special teams love, and I'm going to go for the market on which round the first kicker is drafted in. So these go from round 5 as the favourite at 6-4. Then it's round 6, round 7, and then round 1 it's up at 275-1. You fancy a round 1 kicker, a Sebian or something? But I'm going to go
something.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a little round 4. Right, round 4 kicker. You've got Rodrigo Blankenship from Georgia, Hot Rod they call him. It's a big game kicker, right? He kicked the longest field goal in Rose Bowl history. I couldn't work out how long it is because it didn't say on his Wikipedia article. But that's sort of like, if I'm looking at a kicker, Hot Rod is a fantastic kicker name. I'm sort of imagining, like, if you've seen, I've forgotten the TV show. The college, Alex Moran.
Blue Mountain State.
Blue Mountain State. I'm thinking the sort of kicker from that, the kind of like ball sniffing kind of.
Yeah, Harmon Tedesco.
Little hobbit man. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going round 4 at 7-1. For my kicker. I feel confident.
It's not a bad choice, I suppose. I wish I had more experience in evaluating kickers. I wouldn't even know where to start with what I was looking for, if I'm honest. But I trust your expertise on this one.
Yeah, my research sort of starts and ends at his Wikipedia article, so I haven't.
I watched Georgia all season. They're my team of choice in college, and Blankenship is good. I'm just not confident that I know before the kick what makes a good kicker. After the kick, I can tell you what went in and what was accurate and what was long. But before the kick, I just don't know if I know what I'm looking for. But Blankenship, he was great. He was great this season.
But to be fair, nobody knows what goes in. Like, look at Roberto Aguayo. Like, I know the Bucks are a bit of a joke organization at times, but nobody knows. The only thing I can take away from that, and it's the last thing I think we should add to this kicker conversation, is that if Ollie is our betting guru, and that is the first wild card he comes out with, you're in for a fun ride. So,
yeah, for sure.
Okay, for sure. Conor, you got wild card?
Yeah, I'll bring a wild card out next for sure. So it's not a real wild card unless you stress Fen out, in my opinion. And that's what I've found down the years. So I'm actually going to go at horrible odds, admittedly horrible odds, but I actually think it could happen. Just from watching the film that I've watched and from liking the players I like, I actually think that Hunter Bryant could be the first tight end drafted. And his odds on Betfair Exchange are currently 10-1. And I know it's a lower down the rounds pick, but that's where a lot of the good wild cards are. And Hunter Bryant to be the first tight end drafted in a bad class I could see it happening, somebody going for that very athletic type. And tight ends always get drafted in weird spots. So I think that my wild card is essentially going for an athletic freak who's projected to go in the 4th round. But I've decided that I'm going to take him probably in the 2nd round. Somebody's going to take him in the 2nd round. And that would also fit in with, if you wanted to combine the bets, that would also fit in with the first tight end to go in the 2nd round, which isn't great odds. But if you believe Bryant's going to be the first, he's definitely not going to go in the 1st round. So he's going to have to go in the 2nd round. So you can just sweeten your odds a little bit by adding those 2 bets together. Those are my thoughts on that one.
I guess there's no dead cert number 1 tight end, is there? So there's room.
Well,
I'll actually
talk about this later on. I think it's okay. one of my little teaser there for you, but something I'm going to touch on later.
Okay, cool.
All right.
Do you have any wild cards? How many more wild cards do you have, Al?
I've got another wild card that I can add. I've added a few in. I'm going to go for my kind of safe one early on because I think you guys have really gone for some crazy ones. But my first wild card is at the odds of 11-2 for Jordan Love to be drafted by the Colts. So this is one of the picks that I really, really like. Obviously, that leaves it nice and open. But I personally think that the Colts are one of the top candidates to trade into one of those picks. 31 at the 49ers is a really hot pick that I'm thinking about right at the end of the 1st round. The 49ers, we've spoken about it loads. They're going to be trading back. I think the Colts come up, get that 5-year contract. Jordan Love will be the QB available there at that point. And I think that they'll lock him up to sit behind Phillip Rivers for 1 or 2 years. And then hopefully, he's a Patrick Mahomes type talent that comes out. But 11-2, I think that's worth putting a little bit of something on there because I think that the Colts are one of the teams that likes him.
Yeah, no, I really like that pick. I don't know about you, Ollie, but I really like that pick. I think that's a wise bet. It's unpredictable. You're basing it a lot on essentially 30 other teams or 5 or 6 other teams, not just randomly taking him. But it's very foreseeable. But at a 4.5, was it 11-2? Was it?
Yeah.
5.5. So, I think it's not the best odds for the number of things that could happen, but I mean you're never going to get.
That's why it's my first wild card. I think the other ones are a little bit more spicy.
Never going to get.
I love that pick. Right. I love that pick. I think I'm gonna look at that to go alongside my little wide receiver unders on draft night. That's fantastic. I can't claim you're the bet guru. I was listening to DJ Jan and Jeremiah, and he was pointing out that Chris Ballard used to be in Kansas City, and they had Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith for a year. He's gonna love that model for he's got Rivers. Mm-hmm. It's just a perfect situation.
It is a similar situation. I like it.
No, yeah, I like that pick a lot. All
right, back to the original markets then.
Should we get back to normals, and then we'll come back to the rest of our wild cards if we've got any more towards the end. I think we need to calm down a little bit first, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we don't want to waste so many dollary dues.
Go back to normal, right? So, but I think the thing I'm most looking forward to this year is how shit the Patriots are going to be. It's just going to be glorious. But the real question is who they're going to take in round 1 to rebuild. They're picking at 23. So player by player is tricky, but we're looking at positions, which position they're going to pick. So the favourites there is D-line, linebacker, quarterback, receiver, and then O-line. That's kind of ranging from 3 to 1 to 5 to 1 there. So it's a tight market. Could go any way. So this is really going to be a kind of there's a lot of value if you really like something, but if you're not sure, there's no real front runner. So Fen, do you want to kick us off?
I will kick this one off because looking through the odds here, I mean, obviously, I've said this begrudgingly. I think this is the most important pick of the first round. The pick of 23, who the Patriots are going to take. And I think a lot of people want to get excited, and this could be a potential landing spot for Jordan Love. I don't know if I buy into that. I think that Bill Belichick is classic Bill, and he'll probably do something very smart and intelligent. The odds on defensive linemen are that high because I think people expect Bill Belichick to go get a blue chip player, so I'm going to leave that alone. For me, the only thing I'm looking at is offensive linemen because I think that if Cesar Ruiz is available at 23, he'll be the pick there. And I'm looking at the safety. The odds there are just too delicious to pass up. Looking at 16-1 for a safety when I've seen, 16-1 when you've got Xavier McKinney has been spoken of, and you've got Grant Delpit, which I've seen spoken of in mock drafts. I don't think it's going to happen. I'm not saying that I'm putting those guys in at 23. I think it might be a little bit high for both of them, But I think that realistically, at 16-1, you'd be a fool not to put a little bit of money on one of those top 2 safety prospects being the first one to come off the board to the New England Patriots.
Wow. 16-1, man. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, to pair with Devin McCourty is incredible and is getting up there in age. Yeah. Patrick Chung, I don't even know if he's still playing, to be honest. He's so old. I feel like he's been around forever. He had a good season, but I think that they need somebody to be the incumbent safety in New England. So, that's my logic.
Yeah. And if they're in a position, they're not going to take a quarterback because they feel like they have to. I've got a similar logic, I think.
I think the safety pick is good.
Yeah. I think as well, the pressure on Jordan Love to start. I think he'd want to leave him to sit for a while, but Bill Belichick's got credit in the bank. It's fair to say, but I think the pressure from the crowd to bring in a rookie if Hoyer or Stidham are struggling, I think I can see that going. I can't see receiver either really after Harry last year.
No,
I think as well.
Even if
they've earned the right to patience. Like they've made so many great players these last 20 years. They've earned the right to have a year to try and turn Stidham into a good player, if that's what they want to do, and the fans just have to deal with that, quite frankly. And as far as the safety pick is concerned, it's weirdly a weak position. They've got Devin McCourty and Patrick Chung, and then they've obviously got Gilmore and the other McCourty in the cornerback positions. DB is probably their best unit, which is weird considering I just named those 4 players. But at 16-1, you just got to take it. I mean,
Guys, are we able to break news on a video?
Yeah, sure.
Why not? Yeah, I mean,
it won't be regardless, can't we? We can edit it out regardless.
Bleacher Report: Gronkowski has been traded to the Buccaneers for a Patriots send Rob Gronkowski and a 7th round pick to the Buccaneers for a 4th round pick.
Wow!
Rob Gronkowski is officially coming back to the Bucs. That is mad.
There goes my wildcard 15-2 for the Patriots to take a tight end.
What about that? Oh, that maybe is even more odds now. That pick. Wow,
that's crazy.
Breaking.
I can't believe we've got that breaking. That's a bit spicy. But sorry to interrupt you, Conor, but I saw that pop on my phone. I didn't quite believe it.
It popped up on mine as well, but I saw Gronkowski's name and I just thought that can't be anything relevant. Wow, that's huge. That's huge. He's going to do WWE and NFL this year. I would just say on this one, I also quite like the safety pick just because the odds are so good, 16-1. If it is Xavier McKinney and you put like a $5 on it, you're walking to the bank, a happy man. As far as my expectations for this pick, I'm heartily expecting them to take a defensive lineman or an offensive lineman with this pick. So, but neither of them are attractive picks odds-wise. So, yeah, I think safety is the way here, or offensive lineman if you've got a decent amount of money that you want to lay on this. Because I could see them taking an Isaiah Wilson, somebody who's just. I feel like the Patriots get quite arrogant with their first-round picks, and they think I can develop this guy in 1 year.
Not just the first-round picks; they're everything. They get arrogant with everything.
Well,
they think they can turn these players like Isaiah Wynn into
Trent Brown
players from day one. Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, that's just my thoughts on it.
Ollie, have you got any thoughts for the Patriots pick?
I just feel like they're not going to be pushing to receiver or quarterback. I feel like we're just going to go best player available. I kind of like linebacker here. I think there's some really kind of sort of I don't know. I've lost his name. The guy from Oklahoma, Murray.
Yeah.
In that sort of like just taking a kind of leader. There's a history. There's a history there. I think that's. I'm going to linebacker. Let's go on to another one then, and let's get back to receiver, where the real battle up front is Lamb v. Jeudy. I haven't got any fun facts on Lamb. I mean, Lamb means baby sheep. Jeudy, it's a lady's name. They're neck and neck in the battle. Who's the first? Yeah. Battle of the first pick is they're neck and neck, 11-10, so it's plus 110 American. Henry Ruggs is a slight outsider, 9-2. If you really like him, and you can see a team taking that call, it's a nice value there. But Conor, what's your thoughts?
The rest of these are absolutely insane, aren't they? Well, I suppose they're probably apt. but I think that T. Higgins to be the first wide receiver off the board should be similar to Leicester winning the league. It's just not going to happen. There's no way. He's a good wide receiver, but he's not even built for the modern game necessarily.
What are the odds? Like 70, 80?
90 to 1.
90.
I think the only one, if you were going to go for a wild card here, the only one you can even consider is Justin Jefferson. But even then, please don't consider Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
No way. Henry Ruggs is interesting though, at 92.
Like?
Jeudy. But I think Ruggs should not be sneezed on at 9-2. That's 4.5 odds. That's not awful. That's really not awful at all.
That's where my money is. I'm going to come out and say it.
Yeah.
That's where my money is.
Wow.
I've completely bought in. I've heard all these reports. The Broncos want to trade up to get Ruggs. The Chiefs are looking to trade up to get Ruggs. I know it's smokescreen season, but I am fully bought in that there is going to be a team that is going to fall in love with the athleticism and speed of Henry Ruggs, and he could be the first off the board. I don't think he will be, because I think that Jeudy and Lamb are, they supersede in terms of their talent. They're the top two. It's such a clear divide after that in terms of the talent. But you've seen it happen where teams will fall in love with a player's athleticism and they'll rank him so much higher. So Ruggs is where my money's gone.
I think I can just imagine you see those YouTube videos when you're a big American football fan, and they're always like, who were the 4 wide receivers drafted before this player? And I can see that happening with Laviska Shenault in like 3 years. And Henry Ruggs being the first one on that video will be absolutely hilarious, because it's just so obvious to me. His skill set's good. I hope he goes to a good team, because that's the only way, to a team that's going to use him right, because that's the only way that he's going to work out, in my opinion.
What's your money then, Ollie?
Yeah.
Who are you going for then, Con? Who's your pick?
Ruggs, 100%.
Ruggs.
Like in terms of the value, in terms of who I think is going to be Jerry Jeudy, but in terms of the value, gosh, Ruggs 100%. Ruggs 100%.
See, for me, I think Jeudy is just from the 5-minute highlight videos I've watched of Jeudy and Lamb, which is sort of how I do my player evaluation. That and Wikipedia, it's kind of Wikipedia nicknames YouTube highlight videos. That's my sort of power ranking of
the best way to spend
analysis.
The best way to invest all your money in betting, I think, is
I think so. Yeah. But for me, Jeudy is the better player, and I think 11 to 10 is pretty good odds. Really, I don't think for it. I think he's better. I think he's more. I don't think it's 50-50. I think it's 60-40, 70-30 in favour of Jeudy. So I think there's value in that for me.
Testament to the quality of CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah,
it's a testament to the quality of CeeDee Lamb that it's even 11 to 10, because Jerry Jeudy is as clean as it gets. And if CeeDee Lamb didn't exist, Jerry Jeudy could even be higher on everyone's expectations of where he's going to get drafted.
Yeah.
Are we doing some wild cards next?
Should we go to wild cards?
Yeah.
I've got wild cards.
So I wanted to go with a wild card. I've kind of got 2 coupled together here, and they're not necessarily that wild, but I just quite like the odds on them. So 1, 2, 3, Joe Burrow, Chase Young, Isaiah Simmons. 1, 2, 3. Okay? Because in my opinion, the Bengals are going to take Burrow, the Redskins are going to take Young. I could genuinely see somebody trying to trade up to get Isaiah Simmons, maybe an Arizona Cardinals, or somebody who's in between kind of pick 7. Maybe, to be honest, maybe even the Jacksonville Jaguars if they were so interested. I'm not sure it's a need for them, but they are the Jaguars. But I don't think it's so insane. And standing in it 9 to 1, I just don't think it's so insane that that's throwing your money away. And then I would also couple that with Isaiah Simmons to go pick 3, which is 11 to 1. So I'm not sure that those 2 things together seem like a marriage to me. At least that's what I saw on the Betfair exchange. So yeah.
What were the odds for the original 3?
9 to 1.
So it's 9 to 1 for 3 picks, and it's 11 to 1 for just one of them.
That's what it said on the exchange. Yeah.
So why bother to put the first 2 in if they just reduce the odds?
Well, that's true. To be fair, I was more focused on the Isaiah Simmons on his own bet.
Absolutely.
But I just thought the 2 bets. I thought the 2 bets were interesting to describe together.
I like that.
But I'll just go with the number 3 overall pick just to check my odds on that one.
Yeah,
11 to 1. 11-1, 11-1 odds.
That's good. I like that. I think Isaiah Simmons could be the pick of 3 because I mean I've talked about it a lot, but what a defensive player he is. You don't see a lot of people that come that high up in the draft that have that versatility. Normally you see the versatile players being late first round, second round talents, but he's the full package. You know, you can use him in a lot of different ways, and teams will be really excited about him. I don't know if they'll trade up, but I mean I could certainly see the Lions taking him as one of their options.
Yeah, for sure. I just think that if anybody is going to get traded up for and they're not a quarterback, I think it would be Isaiah Simmons.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's just my kind of thought process, and I like the odds. I just really like the odds. So yeah.
Nice.
Ollie, do you have a wild card?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll go for a slightly spicier one. This one is a man very close to my heart, and I'm trying to put myself in his mind, and that's Mike Mayock. I have always listened to the word of Mike Mayock, and I'm not going to lie, I was a little bit gutted when he got the job as the GM of the Raiders because I used to love his draft analysis and I used to live by his prospect rankings. So
Ben loves natural benders.
Yeah, I absolutely do. So for me, it all boils down to when he predicted the EJ Manuel pick to the Bills. I'm not going to lie, that was a big moment for me. I was like, fair play if he can predict that. So for me, I've got a nice little double here. It's AJ Terrell and CeeDee Lamb to be drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders. So just that, it doesn't say when they're picked. It just says that they will be picked, and it's 25-1. So those odds are very, very nice. I think they're outside odds, but they're very nice to put a little bit of something on there. But the way I see it is that I think the board can fall a lot of different ways where CeeDee Lamb gets to the Raiders at 12, and he is the obvious pick there. So that I can see as a very positive lock. Their pick later on, I believe it's 19, I think is a little bit rich for AJ Terrell in terms of his ability as a corner. But I've said it a million times, I'll say it again. Mike Mayock loves physical players at the cornerback position, and he loves Power 5 colleges, especially Clemson, in recent years. AJ Terrell is all of those. He ticks all those boxes. Mike Mayock will be frothing at the mouth watching his tape. So I could see him pulling the trigger at 19. And then I think their next pick is at 80 overall in the 3rd round. Now, I don't think it's outside the realm of possibilities that the run on corners goes the way, that he makes it all the way to the middle of the 3rd round. I don't see it happening, but that is an outside chance just to kind of give you a little bit more faith in this pick. So
to be fair, this pick becomes even more likely if the Raiders were to trade back. I don't necessarily think they will, but if they were, this pick becomes even more likely.
Well, with no 2nd round pick, it could be potential for them to accumulate some more picks. But I do think that AJ Terrell is the kind of player that is going to be high up on Mayock's draft board compared to other people. So I think that is 25-1. That's my wild card.
No, I like that.
And if you look in that division as well, the Chiefs, the passing game, you've got the Broncos looking for receivers, the Chargers, if they're picking up Tua, maybe that's better at the passing game going forward, good at receiver. You need a corner to compete in that division, and it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
I like it.
Ollie, do you have any more wild cards?
I've got a wild card, but I'm going to save it to the end.
Okay, so I've got 2.
Nice way to finish.
I've got another one. So I mean, we'll do one more round at the end if we've all got one more.
Yeah.
Conor, do you want to give us one now?
Yeah. So mine requires a run on QBs, but 9-1 odds for Jalen Hurts to go in the 1st round. Now, I actually think he's underrated. Right? I actually think that Jalen Hurts is underrated. I don't think he's a 1st round QB at all, but I think he's underrated. And I'm kind of banking on kind of like what you said with Love, where a team tries to snag him because they think that maybe somebody doesn't take one high in the 2nd round. Maybe somebody's going to take him high in the 2nd round. I don't think it's a likely pick, but it's definitely a wild card. And after Lamar Jackson, who was admittedly a better prospect, I could just see it happening where they just take an athletic QB, trade up to pick 31 from the Niners, trade up to pick 32 from the Chiefs. And take him. I can see that Fen is appalled, though.
I am appalled. What did you say the odds were? 9-1.
9-1, yeah, terrible odds. Terrible.
I wouldn't take that at 20-1. I wouldn't take it. No, I wouldn't take that. I firmly believe that the quarterbacks taken will be Joe Burrow, Tua, Herbert. Those could be interchangeable potentially. We've spoken about that. Then I think it's going to be Jordan Love. I think it's going to be Jacob Eason. I think it's going to be Jalen Hurts.
Really?
I really don't see a team falling in love with Jalen Hurts that much to take him in the 1st round. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't go in the 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, Hurts could end up anywhere from the fourth QB taken, or maybe the fifth QB taken, all the way down to being taken after Jake Fromm. But I just think if one team likes him enough, they might get that concept in their head to get 5 years on the deal. 9-1 odds is terrible. I actually kind of brought this one up because I kind of wanted to talk about just how terrible those odds are. What specifically are the bookies thinking, giving a 9-1 odds on this one, when almost every single media outlet wouldn't even breathe near 9-1 odds for Jalen Hurts?
Which team even wants him? Like, I don't get it.
The only team I've seen heavily associated is the Patriots, and they're picking at 23, and I don't see them moving.
Yes, no way.
The only potential scenario I could think up is if Henry Ruggs somehow slips to that pick, and then the Chiefs swap with the Patriots. If they do,
the thing that drew me towards this pick as well was before we did this, before we started the recording, Fen saying, speaking about picks to stay away from, 9-1 odds, 9-1 odds,
wow.
like better odds for Isaiah Simmons to be the third player off the board. That is phenomenal. That's actually phenomenal.
The last kind of group pick we're all doing is running backs. And running back has been a pretty, I find it personally a weird one. Like there's a lot of buzz and a lot of good words spoken about all the running backs. But also the line here is going to show that first round wise, Betfair put the line on number of running backs at 0.5. So, is there going to be a running back or not in the first round? For a running back, they're thinking, there probably will be 4 to 9 on, so minus 225 in American, or the under is 7 to 5. So, there's value either. Well, I think probably value in the under is maybe, but I don't know. Guys, do you have any views? How do you see this going?
I'm happy to muck in first.
I'm
happy to muck in first, and I'm gonna quickly jump in here because I definitely don't know, and I'm not sure enough, and I've second-guessed myself on this enough times, so I don't think I'm going to be making any decisions on this. So it's probably better that I go first. But for me, I'm only going to put money on the under because there are only two teams that I see taking a running back in the first round. I've spoken about one, and it's the Dolphins, purely because they have 3 first-round picks. The only thing that changes that is whether or not they use one of them in a package to move up and get Tua or Herbert if they want to do that way. So if they do choose to move up from 5, or they take someone else at 5 and then choose to move up later, one of those picks could be gone. But if they have all 3, the same as the Raiders did last year, they could take a running back with their last pick and shore up their run game. The only other team I can see I've said it by as well is the Buccaneers. They really need running back help, and DeAndre Swift, I think, is perfect for their scheme. Bruce Arians will love him. So I could see them trading back and taking DeAndre Swift in the back of the first round if they find a trade partner. But other than that, I don't really see a team fit. I mean, I've obviously heard the people saying that the Ravens might take Swift if he's there at 28, but I don't see that happening. I've spoken about why. So I'm going to take the under because the odds are slightly nicer. And to be honest, I don't see a lot of fits in terms of running backs. And there's so much talent available at all the other positions.
It kind of reminds me of a few years ago, 2012. So we're talking a long time ago. It kind of reminds me of that season where a lot of us, we'd only been watching the sport for a couple of years. We all thought we knew what we were talking about. We all thought Eddie Lacy was going to be the first running back. He went 4th round, and the first running back off the board was Giovanni Bernard. And in hindsight, Giovanni Bernard's probably had a better career. But all we can really say from it is that running backs are just extremely unpredictable. That being said, I predict that none will get taken, and therefore I believe that one will get taken, if that makes sense. Somebody is just going to fall in love. Somebody's just going to fall in love with one of those 3 guys, Dobbins, Taylor, and Swift, I think. But Fen's analysis is pretty concise, and it does cover that there aren't a ton of fits. But the thing with running backs is your fits are kind of 1 year in advance of each other. You're looking 1 year into the future to where teams are thinking, I don't want to pay a running back next year. Running backs are getting way too much money now. Maybe if I grab a J.K. Dobbins at the end of the first round, I don't have to pay my starting running back next year or in 2 years' time, or maybe he'll have trade value, stuff like that. So for that reason, I think in terms of the odds, I think I would. The under is nicer odds, much nicer odds, and it's the logical choice. But it's so easy to see an overgoing. That being said, I actually will probably bet on this, and I will probably bet on the under. But I just kind of wanted to fight the other side of the argument because Fen presented a very convincing argument for the under, I think.
Yeah, I nearly talked me around as well, but I'm taking the over. And if I can find it, I want a bet which is 2 running backs in the first round. I think the pay thing is exactly it. I think teams are going to place so much premium on that 5th-year option for running backs. Being able to lock a running back down for that long, even the franchise tag doesn't really work anymore. Guys just aren't signing it. So I could see teams either trading down or like the best teams are just sitting there with a bit, could go a lot of ways. Don't really need a receiver. They've got their sort of offense and that show because they made the playoffs. I think a little running back, I think there's a few guys. My little guy from LSU as well. Like, I think there's quite a few options where a team just needs to love one and pick it. So I'm taking the over, and I want 2 running backs in the first round. If I can find it, I'm betting it.
Absolute madness. That's absolute madness. The running backs playing their 5th-year option. I beg you to go into the NFL and have a look at how many running backs have played for their first team that drafted them on their 5th year, on the contract option that they have. Look at Leonard Fournette now. Look at Melvin Gordon. Look at these running backs that are supposed to be playing out their rookie contracts that with such high capital. Like, it doesn't happen. And I 2 is a bit mental for me, Ollie. All right.
I think as a Bengals fan sitting here, I wish we had 5 years on Mixon. But at the same time, if you're in the front office, you probably think to yourself, rather have 5 years on pretty much every other position on the team.
But you're only one uppercut away from that all changing.
That
All right, let's go back to
my
wildcard.
wild card. Yeah, that actually leads me into my wild card. So on the Betfair Exchange, there are 40-1 odds for Henry Ruggs to be the first wide receiver, which we've already spoken about, and for J.K. Dobbins to be the first running back. If no running back goes in the first round, it's like, as I was saying to Fen earlier on, it's almost a what do you want? There are a handful of good running backs who all offer very different things, and J.K. Dobbins is one of them. He's not my favourite running back of the class, but I don't think it's unusual to imagine him being the first one to go, especially when, like I just said, players like Giovanni Bernard was the first running back off the board in previous drafts. And Rashad Penny can go in the first round. Like, running back's a weird position. Yeah. So I think J.K. Dobbins to be the first running back isn't too strange. We've spoken about the possibility of Henry Ruggs, and at 40-1, I am probably going to put that bet down, to be honest.
40?
Yeah.
For J.K. Dobbins to be first running back taken?
And Henry Ruggs to be the first wide receiver.
Okay, wow. That's a double. I like that. That is hefty odds, but that is bold. Yeah. Definitely not outside the range of outcomes. I mean,
you're definitely not going to win that bet on the first day, I don't think, but it's a possibility for a second round running back selection.
I don't have much to say on that, Ollie. I don't know about you.
That would be like, the world would be. I mean, but it happens, doesn't it? We're all going, with our mouths open, going, what is happening? This draft is,
I just don't think.
The narrative was already kind of set, isn't it? Really, like, teams have different valuations. It's ready for it. I can see
if Ruggs goes the first wide receiver, I don't think anyone will be that surprised if DeAndre Swift or Jonathan Taylor isn't the first running back. People will be like, oh, well, they just liked that guy. Yeah, we think they're wrong.
Running back, you laid it out perfectly earlier on. It's so unpredictable. Like, Rashad Penny is the perfect example. When the Seahawks took Rashad Penny, all it takes is one Seahawks organization to take a random player that you never expect them to take, and
Dobbins isn't bad.
No, he's good. He's very good.
Yeah.
Right. Ollie, you want me to say mine? Okay. Mine is also 2 players being taken, but it's the teams that will take them again, because I'm apparently about this at the moment. I've got 2 different teams. For me, the first one, like I said, is a bit more of a confident one. So I've got Jags taking Jeudy. The Jags at 9. I like them taking Jerry Jeudy there. I agree. I think we're all in agreement that Jeudy is the top receiver in the draft by a hair. And the Jags are needy of that number 1 wide receiver. And I think that at 9, they're in a good position to take him and start that run on wide receivers. But the thing that supplements this for a 25-1 odds is that the Panthers take Isaiah Simmons. So I want to explain my thought process on this. So in those top 5 picks, and I'll talk more a little bit about this very briefly on my avoid section, but I think that's where you're going to see people trade up to get those QBs. And then also the next premium after QB is offensive tackle, and there's plenty of those available. So if you see some of those QBs come off, I mean, it's not outside the realm of possibilities in those first 6 picks. You see Joe Burrow, Tua Tagovailoa, and Justin Herbert go. And then if you see a couple of offensive linemen, Okudah, that's 6 picks. Bam, Simmons slips to the Panthers, to replace Luke Kuechly, and I think that they're going to take that. When one of your best players retires early, you're going to take a generational linebacker talent in the draft if he falls to you at 7, and you're not even going to think about it by putting that card in. So 25-1, those 2 picks, I see a path to it happening, and I think that with those odds, it's worth sticking a few quid on.
Yeah, I think organizational culture matters a lot. It's different ownership and it's different management, but they've had a series of linebackers that just run the defense, and they want another one. So yeah, I could see it.
Yeah. Ollie, do you have a final wild card?
I do. I think it's a nice way to end it. And that is with Mr. Irrelevant. So Betfair's given a market on the position for Mr. Irrelevant. Offensive, 4-5 on. Defensive, even money. Special teams, 12-1. I don't know if you guys have got thoughts. You guys want to weigh in on this one?
So that
what were the odds again? Sorry.
So offensive is 4-5 on. Defensive, even money. Special teams, 12-1. I mean,
Jeez,
what do you think?
I've not done the research into this, but who have the last few Mr. Irrelevants been? I just have to quickly look this up.
We had Chandler Harnish. We had Chandler Harnish back in 2012, I believe.
That was when Andrew Luck was taken, wasn't it? It was the last pick.
Chandler Harnish.
Chad Kelly, a couple of years ago.
Trey Quinn was in 2018, the receiver.
Oh yeah, Swag Kelly.
So Swag Kelly 2017, Kalen Reed, cornerback, Gerald Christian, tight end. There's not really a trend there, really. I mean,
currently the Giants have the last pick, if that helps.
Okay, so I mean, now they've made a bit more of a ceremony out of it. I don't know if the virtual draft will change this, but I think there's more likely to be an kind of exciting pick taken at that point. So I would lean towards QB or special teams, because 12-1. I love those odds.
They're probably not great odds when you consider how many special teamers are entering the draft compared to offensive and defensive players, though, which is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking about the probabilities of players who are going to be available. I'm going to go with. I think it's exciting as well. So I would go with offense. Obviously, the odds are terrible, and there's no way I'd bet on this. But I would go with offensive player. I think just because of the excitement factor. Definitely, I agree with Fen.
Nice. All right, I want to bring you some advanced analytics here. So in the 44 picks since the first Mr. Relevant was dubbed, there have been 2 kickers, just 12 defensive players and 30 offensive players.
Oh wow!
So I'm going offensive. I think it's a good pick.
Your money
it's a great value pick.
That's very good. Is that even money?
I think, yeah, or just slightly under. But yeah.
Okay.
I think you're in safe hands with this pick.
That's decent.
That was a great conclusion.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a good place to end that. I've got some things I would.
Justice Cunningham was also. Justice Cunningham was also a minute. Yeah.
Tempted to put 2 quid on special teams just to make that pick exciting. But the worst thing is you don't even get to watch it. You just have to watch the picks come in on NFL.com.
No, so, Mr. Relevant, they make a great ceremony of Mr. Relevant. They've got that whole family that set up that charity and that fund, and they get a car or something now. Mr. Relevant's been the whole thing. I love that. I love that to wrap up the draft. But when it's over, that means the draft is over, and it's just sad. And all your money is gone because you listen to us.
And you make the draft grades.
Yeah, from that point on, it's just draft grades, which are a bit redundant, and just looking for fits in teams, which is also really, really fun. But having to sustain that for months on end is rubbish.
What grade would you guys give your picks here?
Well, it depends on whether or not I'm including the Jalen Hurts pick. With that included, I would say a C minus. With that excluded, I'm going to have to back myself and say an A. Strong A. Not an A+, but strong A. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not going to give mine letter grades. I'm just going to give it a $sign, because you're going to make yourself some sweet dollars. Be them fake or be them real. Following up on my picks.
Nice.
I think symbol now.
Yeah, I'm going to go B+ on mine. I think it's okay. There's a few that I'm starting to doubt. Maybe my running back one. Haven't heard you guys.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad we knocked some sense into you. But yeah.
If mine was to be a symbol instead of a letter, it'd be an asterisk, and that asterisk would read ignoring the Jalen Hurts pick. Plain and simple. Okay, yeah, that was a lot of fun. This will definitely be something that we're looking to do as the season comes on, because it's so much fun to talk about dollar dues and what we're going to lose this week. It has been thanks for joining me on this call, guys, and hopefully we'll get the opportunity to talk about something really soon, maybe just after the draft.